I never thought a simple knock on my door could upend my quiet life in suburban Chicago. But when Jake, my straight-as-an-arrow neighbor, stood there with desperation etched across his rugged face, everything changed. "Max, I need your help," he blurted out, his voice cracking like he'd been rehearsing the words all night. What started as a plea for a favor spiraled into a web of emotions I wasn't prepared for, forcing me to question where friendship ends and something deeper begins. Living in Oak Park had always been my sanctuary, a cozy two-bedroom house I'd bought after graduating from Northwestern, where I worked as a graphic designer for a small firm downtown. At 28, I was openly gay, comfortable in my skin after years of navigating the complexities of coming out in a Midwestern family that loved me but didn't always understand. Jake and his wife, Sarah, had moved in next door 2 years ago with their toddler, Emily. He was the epitome of the all-American guy, tall, broad-shouldered from his construction job, with an easy laugh that echoed during backyard barbecues. We'd exchanged pleasantries over the fence, talking about the Cubs' latest game or the never-ending Chicago winters, but nothing more, until that rainy April evening. Jake's eyes darted nervously as he stepped inside, shaking off the drizzle from his jacket. "Sarah and we're having problems," he confessed, sinking into my couch like the weight of the world was on him. He explained how their marriage was crumbling under the strain of his long hours and her suspicions of an affair that didn't exist. But the real bombshell? Sarah's family was ultra-conservative, the kind that donated to anti-LGBTQ causes and preached traditional values at every holiday dinner. To save face during an upcoming family reunion, Jake needed a buffer, someone to pose as his gay best friend, to deflect any prying questions about why he and Sarah seemed distant. "It's stupid, I know," he said, rubbing his temples. "But if they think I'm just hanging out with you platonically, it might buy us time to figure things out without the drama." I hesitated. Why me? There were plenty of straight guys he could ask. But Jake admitted he'd seen how I handled myself at neighborhood events. Confident, unflappable. Flattered but wary, I agreed, thinking it was harmless. Little did I know, this favor would crack open doors to feelings neither of us anticipated. The next weekend, we started practicing. Casual hangouts to make our friendship look natural. Coffee runs turned into deep conversations about life. Jake opened up about his rigid upbringing in a small Iowa town, where emotions were bottled up and vulnerability was weakness. I shared my own stories of rejection and resilience, feeling a strange pull toward this man who seemed so lost. As the reunion approached, tensions simmered. Sarah, unaware of the full plan, grew suspicious of our time together. One night, she cornered me in the driveway. "What's going on with you and Jake?" she demanded, her eyes sharp. I played it cool, but inside, guilt gnawed at me. Was I enabling a lie? And worse, why did my heart race when Jake texted me goodnight? The reunion was in Wisconsin, a sprawling lake house owned by Sarah's parents. Jake and I drove up together, the car ride filled with awkward silence broken by bursts of laughter over shared playlists. Upon arrival, the scrutiny began. Sarah's brother, Mark, a burly guy with a Bible quote tattoo, eyed us suspiciously. "So, you're the neighbor," he said to me, his tone laced with disdain. "Jake says you're different." The weekend was a minefield. Family games turned into interrogations about marriage and kids. Jake defended our friendship fiercely, but I caught him stealing glances my way, his expressions unreadable. During a bonfire, as stories flowed, Mark launched into a rant about the gay agenda ruining America. I bit my tongue, but Jake didn't. "Knock it off, Mark. Max is a good guy, better than most." The air thickened with unspoken accusations. That night, in the guest room we shared, to save space, Jake insisted. He whispered, "Thanks for having my back." Our eyes met in the dark, and for a split second, the world narrowed to just us. But morning brought reality. Sarah pulling Jake aside, whispering furiously about how close we seemed. Back home, the facade cracked. Jake started coming over more, not for practice, but because he said my place felt like a refuge. We talked about everything. His dreams of starting his own contracting business, my fears of never finding real love in a world still full of prejudice. One evening, over pizza, he admitted, "I envy you, Max. You're so free." His hand brushed mine accidentally, and neither of us pulled away. The spark was undeniable, but so was the danger. What if this was just confusion? Society's whispers echoed in my mind. Straight guys experimenting, leaving heartbreak in their wake. Yet, as days blurred, our bond deepened, laced with unspoken tension that begged to be addressed. The summer heat in Chicago amplified everything. The stickiness of the air, the intensity of our conversations, and the growing undercurrent of something more than friendship. Jake's marriage teetered on the edge, with arguments spilling over into late-night calls where he'd vent to me, his voice raw with frustration. "Sarah thinks I'm pulling away because of work, but it's more than that," he confessed one night on my porch, the city lights flickering in the distance. I listened, my heart aching for him, but also for myself, as I realized I was falling hard. We began spending weekends together under the guise of guy time. Trips to Wrigley Field for baseball games, where Jake's enthusiasm was infectious, or hikes in nearby forest preserves, where silence felt comfortable. But societal pressures loomed. At a neighborhood block party, rumors swirled. Mrs. Henderson, the nosy retiree across the street, pulled me aside. "You and Jake seem awfully close. Sarah's a nice girl. Don't go stirring trouble." Her words stung, a reminder of how quickly judgment could form in even progressive suburbs. Jake brushed it off, but I saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. Was he ready to face what this meant? Then came the turning point, Emily's birthday party. Sarah invited the whole street, and Jake asked me to help set up. As balloons bobbed and kids screamed with delight, I caught Sarah watching us. Jake laughing as he hoisted Emily onto his shoulders, me snapping photos. Later, in the kitchen, she confronted him. "Are you gay, Jake? Is that what this is?" Her voice was a whisper hiss, but it carried. He denied it vehemently, but the seed was planted. That night he showed up at my door, eyes red. "I don't know what I am anymore," he admitted, collapsing into my arms for a hug that lingered too long. Our talks turned introspective. Jake grappled with his identity, recounting suppressed feelings from college, a crush on a roommate he'd buried deep. "Society expects me to be the provider, the straight dad. What if I'm not?" I shared my own journey, the pain of hiding, the freedom of acceptance. But conflicts arose. His family called constantly, pressuring him to fix the marriage for Emily's sake. Friends from work teased him about our hangouts, using slurs that made him flinch. One evening, after a particularly brutal call from his father-in-law, Jake snapped. "Maybe this is all a mistake. I can't upend my life for feelings." Hurt, I pulled back, but he apologized the next day with coffee and a sincere plea. "I need time, Max, but I don't want to lose you." The push-pull was exhausting, mirroring the societal tug-of-war, tradition versus authenticity. As fall approached, Jake filed for separation, citing irreconcilable differences. Sarah moved out temporarily, taking Emily, and the neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Some supported him, others shunned us both. At a local LGBTQ support group I dragged him to, he met others in similar situations. Married men discovering their truth later in life. It was eye-opening but also terrifying. "What if I'm just using you to figure this out?" he asked one night, vulnerability raw. The drama escalated when Mark showed up unannounced, Bible in hand, demanding Jake come to his senses. The argument spilled onto the lawn, voices raised about sin and family duty. I intervened, defending Jake, but Mark turned on me. "You're the one poisoning him." Neighbors watched, phones out, amplifying the scandal. Jake stood his ground, telling Mark to leave, but the toll was evident. That night, alone in my living room, he kissed me, soft, tentative, full of years of pent-up emotion. It wasn't passion-fueled. It was a choice, born from chaos. But morning brought regret, no resolve. "I think I'm bisexual, Max. Or maybe gay. I don't know labels yet, but I know I care about you." Yet external forces pushed back. Sarah, in therapy, accused Jake of emotional infidelity. Custody battles loomed, with lawyers warning that his lifestyle change could hurt his case. Society's lens, conservative courts, judgmental peers, forced tough choices. Did he fight for Emily at the cost of his truth, or pursue us and risk losing her? My own doubts surfaced. Was I a rebound, a safe harbor in his storm? The conflicts piled on, each one a test of our budding connection. Winter blanketed Chicago in snow, mirroring the chill that settled over our relationship as real-world consequences mounted. Jake moved in temporarily after Sarah took the house in the separation agreement, turning my home into a makeshift haven. Mornings were quiet coffees and shared glances, evenings filled with talks about future possibilities. But the custody hearing loomed like a storm cloud. Jake's lawyer advised discretion. No public displays. Judges here can be old school. It felt like hiding, a step back from the progress we'd made. Societal backlash intensified. At work, Jake faced whispers, coworkers questioning his changes, some refusing jobs with him. "It's like I'm tainted," he said bitterly one night, staring at the fireplace. I encouraged him, drawing from my experiences with discrimination, but it hurt seeing him suffer. Then, Emily's school called, kids teasing her about two daddies. Sarah, furious, blamed us. "You're confusing her," she yelled over the phone. Jake agonized, torn between his daughter and his heart. What kind of father am I if I put my happiness first? We attended couples counseling, not as official partners, but to navigate the mess. The therapist, a kind woman with years in LGBTQ issues, challenged us. Society's norms are shifting, but change is slow. What are you willing to sacrifice? Jake's answer evolved, from fear to determination. But controversy struck when a local news blog picked up the story, anonymized but obvious. Suburban dad's midlife crisis sparks custody drama. Comments flooded in, some supportive, calling for acceptance. Others vicious, labeling us homewreckers. The post went viral in community forums, amplifying debates on fluid sexuality and family values. Amid this, our bond deepened through small acts. Cooking dinners, watching old movies, sharing dreams. Jake enrolled in online courses for business management, inspired by my encouragement. "You make me want to be better," he said, his hand in mine. But a pivotal conflict arose during Christmas. Sarah invited him for Emily's sake, but insisted I stay away. "It's family only." Jake refused, choosing to spend it with me instead. The decision sparked a blowout, Sarah's family disowning him, cutting off financial help. "You're choosing sin over blood," his father-in-law spat. The hearing arrived in January, a sterile courtroom buzzing with tension. Jake testified honestly about his journey, emphasizing his love for Emily. Sarah's side painted him as unstable, citing our relationship as evidence. The judge, an older man, listened impassively. Witnesses included neighbors, some defending Jake's character, others echoing prejudices. I sat in the back, heart pounding, as Jake glanced my way for strength. The ruling, joint custody, but with stipulations, no introducing new partners until therapy approved. It was a win, but bittersweet, highlighting how far society had to go. Post-hearing, relief mixed with exhaustion. Jake proposed we take it slow, building something real away from the spotlight. But doubts lingered. Was our love born from crisis or genuine? External pressures tested us. A job offer for Jake in Seattle, promising a fresh start but uprooting everything. "What if we go together?" he asked, eyes hopeful. I waited, leaving my life, facing new judgments. The choice loomed, a crossroads of emotion and logic. Spring brought renewal to Chicago, buds blooming as our relationship tentatively did the same. With custody stabilized, Jake focused on co-parenting, weekends with Emily becoming highlights. She warmed to me gradually, her innocent questions, "Why do you hold Daddy's hand?" sparking tender explanations about love in all forms. But society wasn't done challenging us. At Emily's school play, stares from parents whispered of disapproval. a reminder that acceptance was patchwork. Jake's business venture took off, a small contracting firm specializing in eco-friendly builds. I designed his logo, our collaboration blending professional and personal. Success bred envy, though old friends distancing themselves, calling his changes a phase. One former buddy confronted him at a bar. "You're throwing away your life for what? A guy." The fight nearly turned physical, Jake defending us with fire I'd never seen. "It's not a choice. It's who I am." That night he came home shaken, but resolute. "I won't hide anymore." Internal conflicts surfaced too. I questioned if Jake's feelings were authentic or a reaction to marital failure. Therapy helped, uncovering his suppressed attractions from youth. "I loved Sarah, but this feels different, deeper," he said. Yet, a major twist. Sarah revealed she'd known about his struggles for years, staying out of hope. "I pushed you away because I couldn't compete," she admitted in a tearful mediation. It humanized her, turning her from antagonist to fellow victim of societal expectations. Jake felt guilt, but it freed him to move forward. Controversy peaked at a local Pride event. Jake insisted we attend his first public step. Hand in hand amid rainbows and cheers, it was empowering, until Mark appeared, protesting with a small group holding signs about protecting families. Shouts escalated, cameras rolling as Jake faced his brother-in-law. "This is my family now," he declared, pulling me close. The moment went viral on social media, sparking national debates. Was coming out midlife selfish? Did it harm children? Support poured in from LGBTQ allies, but backlash from conservative circles labeled us attention seekers. The strain tested our limits. Jake's business lost a big client over the publicity, forcing tough financial choices. "Maybe we tone it down," he suggested once, weary. I refused, arguing authenticity over conformity. The argument was heated, emotions raw. "If we hide, what's the point?" Reconciliation came with apologies and a weekend getaway to Michigan's dunes, where we reaffirmed our commitment amid crashing waves. As summer neared, Jake proposed a bold move, relocating to Seattle for his job, starting fresh. "We can build a life without the baggage," he said. I hesitated, my career, friends, the familiarity of home. But the alternative? Stagnation in a judgmental suburb. The decision weighed heavy, a culmination of months of growth and strife. The move to Seattle marked a new chapter, the Pacific Northwest's misty landscapes a stark contrast to Chicago's grit. Jake's firm thrived in the progressive city, and I freelanced remotely, our apartment overlooking Puget Sound a symbol of rebirth. Emily visited often, adapting with a child's resilience, her drawings now featuring 2 daddies. Sarah, in time, found peace even dating again. But scars remained, family estrangements, lingering doubts. Our relationship evolved into quiet stability. Morning runs along the waterfront, evenings debating politics or planning trips. Jake fully embraced his identity, volunteering at LGBTQ youth centers, sharing his story to inspire. "I was blind to my own truth," he'd say, gratitude in his eyes. Yet, societal echoes persisted. At a company event, subtle biases surfaced. Colleagues assuming Jake's past made him less committed. We countered with grace, but it fueled ongoing discussions. How much should one conform to fit in? A final twist came via a letter from Jake's estranged father, apologizing after years of silence. "I was wrong," it read, sparking tentative reconciliation. The visit was awkward, tears and truths exchanged, highlighting generational shifts. Emily's presence bridged gaps, her innocence melting prejudices. Reflecting on our journey, from that desperate knock to this hard-won happiness, I marveled at the choices that defined us. Love, in its truest form, demanded courage amid controversy. But was it all worth the pain inflicted on others? Is it morally right for someone to pursue personal happiness if it disrupts the lives of those they once committed to?